Good evening and welcome to this news update on this Bank Holiday Tuesday, Workers' Memorial Day and Regimental Day. But before we move on to that, Jared Uma brings us a summary of today's COVID-19 press conference.
On the eve of the start of the relaxation of lockdown for the over 70s, initial details have started to emerge on the return of some schooling. It forms part of the route map being devised as an exit strategy for the coronavirus restrictions. It's now very likely that the vast majority of youngsters will not return to school until September. With just 10 weeks to go to the end of term, the government is putting together a plan of action that will be led by 4 guiding principles designed to protect the safety and security of Gibraltar's children. Return to school will be slow and gradual. Only pupils at a critical stage of their education programme will soon be attending lessons, with these being split in morning and afternoon sessions to enable the smallest class sizes possible. Care for children whose parents need to go to work will continue, including extended hours for the sons and daughters of key workers on shift. Home learning will carry on for the remaining students. It'll therefore be a long summer for most children, as the lockdown exit strategy will not allow for a return to normality.
No one should believe, as we start to take these steps out of lockdown, that there will be a return to normality anytime soon. That will certainly not happen. I reiterate that return will be slow and it will be gradual. That is how we best protect those attending our schools and the community at large. That remains our priority. That remains our focus.
The elderly will be looking forward to tomorrow, when they'll once again be able to breathe in fresh air by being allowed to exercise outdoors for the first time in many weeks. Victoria Stadium, Commonwealth Park, Eastern Beach and Camp Bay are the 4 golden hour designated areas from 10 a.m. till midday. But exercise can be taken anywhere. The 4 designated areas will be policed to avoid socialising instead of exercising. But the Minister for Civil Contingencies would not be drawn on the measures being implemented elsewhere to ensure the lockdown rules continue to be adhered to.
Particularly people who are over the age of 70 need to keep these opportunities to a minimum. Now it's up to every individual, knowing the risks that are available and how these could affect them, to safeguard themselves by following the rules as much as possible. But certainly in the safe areas, these will be monitored and policed, because we want to make it as safe as possible for these people. But safety is not guaranteed once you leave home.
Lockdown is proving to be a difficult time for many, especially the elderly who live alone. The audit of over 70s that is now virtually complete has shown there's a need for a befriending service. This has now been introduced and aims to connect these persons with others from the community. This is in addition to the work that continues on mental welfare. A training programme has been provided, allowing for welfare checks to be carried out on frontline professional staff at the start and end of their shifts. This aims to diffuse stress levels, with counselling subsequently provided if required. Voluntary counsellors are also available to assist members of the wider community in relation to COVID-19 concerns, which is in addition to the existing mental health services that continue as always, albeit with remote consultations in some cases. There continues to be 10 active COVID infections out of 141 confirmed cases. There are 246 pending test results that include 148 random swabs taken from among police and prison officers as part of the random survey of frontline workers being undertaken. The last random test of 400 resulted in 2.5% returning positive, despite those persons not showing symptoms. So it remains to be seen if this exercise will show the same statistic. For the moment, the advice therefore remains the same. Stay home, as the more we move the virus, putting everyone at risk.
Remember the dead, fight for the living. That's a slogan which best encapsulates what we must do on a day like today as we commemorate Workers' Memorial Day. That's according to the Chief Minister, who said he was proud no worker has died during his term of office. Deaths and injuries at work, he said, happened because of lack of investment in the health and safety measures that must be taken in all work environments. Fabian Picardo was joined by Employment Minister Gilbert Likudi and 2 representatives from Unite the Union in a much-reduced wreath-laying ceremony in the lobby of the Parliament. But the immediate focus is on the GHA, and a minute's silence was observed outside St Bernard's Hospital, where wreaths were also laid. Today, thoughts were not only with the GHA, but also with their counterparts around the world, especially the NHS.
The slogan for the day is Remember the Dead and Fight for the Living. This year has been clouded by the coronavirus, which theme for this year is Stop the Pandemic at Work, but it also signals the importance of health and safety in the workplace exactly because of what's happening worldwide. Not only that, there are still many hundreds and thousands of workers that are attending work without the proper PPE, and that is an issue which is of great concern. The reality is that health and safety is not a luxury, it's a right, and people need to be equipped.
It's important for us because we're commemorating our colleagues who have passed away during the COVID-19 crisis, and it's a way of showing our respect.
NHS workers in UK particularly have given their lives to this pandemic, and it's our way of showing our respects.
I think it's really important to remember today all our frontline healthcare workers who passed away in the line of duty, and we've done this small ceremony today just to honour them and their profession and what they've given up.
I am here today to celebrate the Buckingham Memorial, particularly for all the lives that have been lost, frontline workers due to COVID-19. It's a celebratory day to celebrate Workers' Day, and in particularly those on the front line, like ourselves, and those who we've dearly lost, unfortunately. So this goes to you guys.
I also think it's important to highlight the need for health and safety, which is absolutely crucial and essential. The supplying of PPE equipment, masks, aprons, and this is the theme is on the coronavirus issue. So our message as Unite is for employers to ensure the safety during this pandemic to all employees.
And the GGCA says it's never been so important for all Gibraltarians to come together and stand united to overcome our darkest hour and emerge from the COVID crisis closer and stronger. Our reporter Kevin Rees spoke to GGCA President Wendy Cumming, who paid tribute to all frontline workers exposed to the virus.
Never has the slogan of Remember the Dead and Fight for the Living been more appropriate than this year. Certainly, obviously all credit to the GHA staff who have been wonderful so far and who have to have, this absolute horror of waiting for the surge, and living through that daily. Obviously, and our law enforcement, the RGP, HM Customs, HM Prison, Borders and Coast Guard, even our GSLA members who have been redeployed and been so helpful. Social services, of course, everyone pitching in and doing their best to get us through this. So I've never been, prouder of our community than I am at this moment.
And of course, some workers who are not normally recognised, they're in the limelight as well. What's your message to them and to the wider community?
I think that never was it more important to stand united and have that solidarity between us, because I think that only by taking care of each other will we get through this as a stronger and closer community.
And in times of crisis, we've seen people go beyond their call, beyond their responsibilities as well, haven't we?
Absolutely, and it's not really a surprise to me that the civil and public service would go over and over and above, but it is very nice to have that acknowledged.
Meanwhile, the Royal Gibraltar Regiment is today celebrating Regimental Day, the anniversary of its inception as a Gibraltar Defence Force. I met up with his commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Simon Dyson, as they took a break from training this morning to enjoy some celebratory tea and cakes. I put to him that social distancing in the army appeared to be nigh on impossible.
It's a unique setting, they live under the same roof, so they share the same space constantly. The tables in the cookhouse are spread out, so people are 2 metres apart, but with the numbers involved in the space we have available, it is challenging.
So you've been in command for 7 months now. Tell me, how's it going?
Well, the COVID crisis is now very much dominating. Initially, we were, as a regiment, preparing with the command and the government for the potential impact of Brexit. Just as we thought we were getting back to normal business, this crisis has emerged, and very much daily business over the past couple of months has been dominated by our response to it, the support we've provided when required to the government of Gibraltar.
So what was your vision for the regiment before you were so rudely interrupted by Brexit and by COVID-19? Where did you want to see the regiment go?
What we were looking to do, and these projects are still ongoing, is a review of the regimental structure and the conditions of the soldier to optimise the regiment more effectively, to deliver what the MOD requires of the regiment here, and how we can best support the government of Gibraltar as well. That involved looking at projects of RG housing. We're working very closely with the government and the MOD to move those forward, and also looking at our relationship with the Army back in the UK, how they can best support us so we can be fully trained and ready to deliver capability as required.
And the regimental flag was today flown from No. 6 Convent Place. Also marking the day, the regiment's honorary colonel, Lieutenant Colonel Francis Brancato, says the same spirit of selfless commitment and service to Gibraltar remains alive and undaunted as 81 years ago.
Colonel Brancato highlights the day will not be able to be celebrated in the usual way, but believes the current situation has served to highlight the utility, versatility and professionalism of the regiment, as well as the calibre and resourcefulness of its members. He praises the contribution of retired members, some of whom he says are playing a key role in the fight against the killer virus. The former commanding officer adds the regiment has come a long way since its inception and evolved to become the unique and highly respected unit Gibraltar is proud to call its own. This is an enduring relationship. It will always be there for Gibraltar, just as it depends on the support of the community for its existence.
And before we go, a reminder that GBC will be holding its Open Day Stay Home edition tomorrow, raising money for the COVID-19 fund. Fundraising will start on Radio Gibraltar as from 8 in the morning, with a 2-hour show on television starting at 9 p.m. The number to call with your donations is 200 611 11. For now, from the news team, it's good night. We are here to keep you informed. Stay safe and, as always, stay positive.